Miracle Boy Boxing, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, the one and only hosting Cruz, bringing you another exciting edition of boxing. Don't forget to hit and to like, subscribe to my channel. It's always greatly appreciated. Stay tuned. Miracle Boy Boxing, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, hosting Cruz, and guys, Emiliano Vargas, the son of the Mexican-American veteran, former world champion, one of the youngest world champions in boxing history. One of the most exciting fighters of his time, and Fernando El Feroz Vargas, who, me being Puerto Rican, he was one of those Mexican fighters that I got hooked on, man. Very exciting. Win, lose, or draw, he always brought it to the table. A lot of heart, a lot of guts. Fernando El Feroz Vargas, ladies and gentlemen. If you have not seen his career, it's filled with action-packed fights. And he never disappointed, man. I mean, he retired by the time I fell in love with the sport of boxing back in 2011. He retired in 2007 against Mayorga. And lo and behold, he has 3 sons that are boxing, that are pro boxers. And the one that stands out of the 3 is Emiliano Vargas. 21 years old, 15-0, 13 knockouts. Very explosive, very exciting, very talented, hard puncher, and that's what he showed. That's what he brought in his last fight, man. He scored one of the most vicious knockouts, one of the most impressive stoppages of 2025, and I think the quickest, one of the quickest first round knockouts in the sport of boxing. I'm gonna show you guys in a second how that ended, and so yeah, Emiliano Vargas, ladies and gentlemen, who is at 140 pounds, very exciting, hard puncher, explosive, talented, and in his last fight, he took out his best opponent to date. Now, his best opponent to date is Espinosa, who, in my opinion, is nothing to brag about, really, but you know, he came with a nice record. You could call it padded. But when the bell rung, you know, Espinosa showed something, man. He showed quickly that he has a nice jab. I was like, wow, okay, Espinosa is showing me a nice jab repeatedly. And Emiliano Vargas read that right away and realized he keeps throwing me jabs that are lazy. The next time he throws a jab, I'm going to counter it right over the top with a straight right. Like this.
Of 2025, what are you looking for to tell yourself he's climbing to the next rung on the ladder?
Again, as the competition increases and you see a young fighter develop skill-wise, but more importantly, he starts to knock out and start this knockout streak over and over and over. That's when you know he's trending in the right direction. Because as you go up in levels, Tess, the competition gets harder and harder. You know, they get better.
Oh, good right hand! Man, oh man! Emiliano! Pinpoint precision! Espinosa's done! Not even a minute into round 1, and Emiliano.
So Emiliano Vargas throws a thunderous knockout shot, one of the best of 2025. I don't know if you could read lips, but he said he's the best 140-pound fighter right now. Now, I like Emiliano Vargas, ladies and gentlemen. He's a nice kid. He's exciting. He's explosive. The timing is on point. He has deadly firepower in his fist. And he's bringing that excitement that his dad brought back in the day. You know, the only difference is he hasn't been tested. Now, when you get a knockout like that, knockout victory like that, you know, I'm sure it feels good. You feel like you can take on just about anybody in the sport of boxing. You can take on the whole world after something like that. After experiencing something like that. You know, that's when you climb on the apron, that dopamine hit, that that shot of adrenaline rush kicked in, and he said he can take on basically anyone, and he's the best 140 pounder. Now, like I said, I like Emiliano, but I like the confidence, feeling he can take on any 140 pounder. But there's something called biting off more than you could chew. What can I say is he has the talent, the power, the timing to be able to compete with the best at 140 pounds. Now, I can't say that right now because he has not been tested. But speaking of being tested, someone at 140 pounds who's been tested didn't like that comment of Emiliano saying that he's the best 140 pounder. And we're talking none other than Mr. Tito Mercado, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see right here, did that boy really just say he's the best 140 pounder in the world? Hashtag trash. Now, Emiliano Vargas responded not too long after that saying, you should have tagged me in your comment. Now, if this fight was to get made, this is a fight between two undefeated 140-pound young guns, ladies and gentlemen, with punching power. Emiliano Vargas, 15-0, 13 knockouts. Tito Mercado, 17-0, 16 knockouts. So someone likely is going to get put to sleep in this one. But anyway, Tito Mercado, it will be the obvious biggest name on Emiliano's resume. Tito has defeated the likes of, not only has fought, but has defeated the likes of Jason Velez, Hank Lundy, Jeremiah Lacatilia, and Jose Pedraza. Those fighters I just mentioned, Emiliano Vargas doesn't have any of them in his resume. So for Emiliano Vargas to jump in with a fighter like Tito Mercado, just like, is big respect, honestly. Because Emiliano Vargas is going to get tested mentally and physically in this fight. With Tito, Emiliano Vargas is going to need more than a counter right hand over the top, because that's not going to be enough for Tito Mercado. Emiliano Vargas is going to have to show everything, all his talent. He's going to have to put it all to work against Tito if he has any chance or wants any chance to beat a Tito Mercado. This fight will show us how good we can see the potential, but we don't know how good he really is. You know, when Emiliano Vargas gets hit good right on the chin and how he responds when he gets dropped and all that stuff, he has not experienced that yet. And Tito Mercado has what it takes to show us how good Emiliano Vargas is if this fight was to get made. And it's a very exciting fight and intriguing, because it's going to show us what Emiliano Vargas can do against a high caliber fighter in Tito Mercado, who is basically a contender in the weight class. So I'm looking forward to this fight, man. I'm looking forward for Emiliano Vargas to fight fighters like Tito Mercado in terms of level. And I doubt this fight gets made right away, next. I'll be surprised if it does gets made next. I would love to see it. But yeah, that's what unfolded this past Saturday night at the theater at Madison Square Garden on the Sanders side versus Jorge Garcia Perez undercard. Emiliano Vargas turning in a knockout, one of the best knockouts of the year so far, and continues his rise to stardom in the sport of boxing. Let me know what you guys think about Emiliano Vargas KO, and what do you guys think about Emiliano Vargas's back and forth with Tito Mercado and a fight between the two. Miracle Boy Boxing, ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host and Cruz. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. It is always a pleasure to talk to you guys about boxing. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.